I want to welcome you back, but this time to another special edition at the Beverage Forum episode of Pivotal. But don't worry, these pieces of conversational content are still focused on tackling impactful CPG industry subject matter and lessons from the business leaders that live it every day. There's something extremely admirable about those that fight for the little guy. Having worked in large CPG conglomerates like Mars, Daniel Scharff knew the advantages these mega companies have over small brands scratching and clawing for every opportunity. So in late 2019, he began hosting Bay Area events that gave founders of the smallest emerging CPG brands a chance to demo products and network. But we all know what happened next. Though being forced to pivot towards building virtual community the following year might have been the silver lining for Startup CPG. Instead of pausing everything, Daniel didn't lose sight of his original intent. These smallest CPG brands were most affected by delays in planogram resets, so Startup CPG quickly developed helpful content, tools, platforms, and creatively sourced other incredible sales opportunities that helped minimize negative impact. And it was that initial value provided when founders arguably needed it the most that reverberated quickly amongst the community, thus helping catapult Startup CPG into becoming the largest and fastest growing CPG community. In our conversation, Daniel explains how this business growth has allowed Startup CPG to host more community events around the country, launch even bigger programs to help brands with what matters most, and form influential strategic partnerships. Moreover, in relating to that last point, with its GNC Next Big Thing contest, we talk about the power of authentically putting yourself out there and staying real and transparent. But this is just some of the interesting subject matter covered. So without further delay, here is the recent conversation I had with my good buddy and Startup CPG founder, Daniel Scharff. I'm going to start this off by saying, first off, really appreciate what you do for the early stage CPG community, because I feel like here's how I always describe it. There's a lot of that what you don't know type of situation, and a lot of especially that first million, they're searching, they're trying to figure it out, and a lot of them, I think they unfortunately make the mistake of trying to do everything themselves, and you're the man that's could help them, and for whatever reason, sometimes people miss all of the marketing that you do, and I don't know how they don't, because CPG Oprah.
Yeah.
Do you see that? You guys ever seen that? Where's that one rap guy that people throw out words and then he has to throw it into his rhymes?
My name is Harry Mack, and I'm gonna do a freestyle for you guys if that's cool. Can I get some random suggestions for things to incorporate in the freestyle? Shaq? Yeah. I keep it honest, I don't really need to act in the game of rap. I'm a big man like Shaq. Yeah.
That's me, but in a very awkward CPG strategy sense. But Dan, no, I just want to first off just mention my utmost, just sincere, just love for what you do. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've ever said that publicly, but I do really appreciate from afar what you do.
Why say it privately when you could say it publicly?
Exactly. I know.
No, I super appreciate that, because that's why I started this, is because I would spend 3 months working on trying to figure out where to resell expiry inventory, and then just be I just want to share this with people so they don't have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I already have all those contacts. A lot of other people have done the same thing too, and then those contacts just die in their email inbox. Let me just create a resource and send it to everybody and just save all of that collective time. So that's what we do. And then I think it started out of me wanting to do that, and then also realizing everybody actually wants to do that.
Yeah.
It's fun to help people. People like to give their knowledge to people, give their resources, and it's also kind of fun to show people what you know and what you've learned. And so, those are the building blocks for our community, and we're actually next month celebrating hitting 1 million messages sent on our Slack.
Wow.
And what that means is 1 million messages of help that have been sent, people asking for help, people giving help. And I don't even know how you can quantify all of the times that brands have saved spinning their wheels or reinventing the wheel just because somebody could tell them the name of something that they never would have found on their own because they've been through it.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of times I think early on when I started consulting 13 years ago, I was very much in the early stage startup world, and a lot of times people were like, well, what value can you bring? Because a lot of times every dollar makes so much sense to them, and I'm like, always kind of pitch it what you were kind of mentioning, like sometimes ultimately these resources save you so much time, resources, energy, because somebody's went through and saw the mistakes before, the patterns or sequences that have worked or not worked before, and it's not so much that you're like just shooting and throwing spaghetti against the wall and trying to figure it out. There are these resources that I think are super helpful, and I think now I've lost a little bit of that because I think most of my clients are somewhere in that like 20 million plus, where like they have a lot of the stuff figured out, but now their mistakes are amplified like an insane level. They have a lot more resources, but like you're making $1 million mistakes, you're making all these kind of things where like I'm coming in really from the same sense of trying to help, but from a different angle. But I feel like a lot of times when I do have people reach out and I give half hour here, there, wherever, when I get off that call with that entrepreneur that maybe is just even at the idea phase, I go, wow, I'm like lit up. Like there's so much energy that like gets a little bit lost, I think, as you start to get up the chain where people start to be professionalized or too like, everything like you get beat down in the weeds all day long and it's not like this exciting, fun thing anymore. And I get that's just part of the iteration, but I think there's a level of like, you're in that like lightning all the time.
I think we are in this super passionate phase. That's the thing. I've worked at those companies. I've worked at big CPG companies, and I was always enjoying it. I always liked what I do. I like the learning. I like the resources that you have at those kind of companies, the training you get. You can learn from the person who had your job before you there. They're almost always there now in a different department. So yeah, you learn a lot, but I would do big projects with what I thought was a super cool, high dollar value result. Like I would never have that at a small company because they just aren't big enough to have that. And like everyone would be like, okay, like hooray. No one really cared. I don't know. You're not close enough to the people, and I think people around the businesses are equally as important to me as the products. And so that's why I like the early stage, like 0 to 10 million in revenue, because like you're talking to the founders, the dream is so close in their hearts at that point, and when you help them, it really means something, and that's why it's fun for me.
Yeah, we were just talking to somebody down at lunch, and they were mentioning just like kind of the different people about how they get into CPG, and they made the comment, and this is going to probably turn off some people, and I apologize that they say like they were like the finance people, and I was like, I'm one of those people like in the heart of like, I'm numbers analytical, that's where my degrees are at. But at the end of the day, like what I found more times than not, this is a generalization, is that you lose the soul because those people are looking at it from a dollars and cents standpoint. They're not looking at it from like there's a passion, there's like this problem they're trying to solve in their own personal life, and they need to birth this like artistic thing out of there. Like they lose a little bit of that, and like I feel like a lot of times that's for me not as exciting to work with those individuals. And again, now I'm going to lose like clients or like people are going to be like, oh, I can't work with Josh. But like the reality is like when you pour your heart into businesses, when you work with them, you want to have an equal, I think, response of energy back. Like not just this like, well, I'm just trying to make money, which I don't know. There's more, especially CPG. I think it could be a vessel for a lot more than just that. And there's a lot easier ways to make money than CPG.
Yeah, it's I think I've learned a lot also about how to work with people in different parts of the company. I love getting into ops, for example, like talking to an operations manager at a particular company and learning, what are they doing every day. And I probably they also don't feel like they should be the face of a company or be out there demoing and trying to be on offense for the company. But equally important part of the business. You can make or break the business based on ops or finance, obviously. It's pretty interesting to spend more time and understand their skill set and like how you can use it best for a company. But for me personally, like I like being out there. I like the sales side the most. That's where I feel like my expertise goes the deepest. I also, like you, am a numbers and insights guy. So like I really respect the work that you do, because before being hired as the CEO for my last beverage company, I was the head of insights and analytics for a big food tech company. And so I was in there like running my own studies, I was the one who would know how to like pull the data and twist it a bunch of different ways to tell the most strategic story. And so I know you're pretty handy with all of that stuff. So I respect that skill set as well. And I think, more than being about somebody's specific job title, I think it's actually about just how much curiosity and passion do they have.
Yeah.
Because I was that guy, but man, I cared about the product, and I was so curious to learn new things that because I got really good at telling those stories, they had to start bringing me to buyer meetings, and that was fun for me. And then I just started, learning like DIY conjoints and like really fun stuff. So I don't know. I mean, often I would say sometimes maybe the like CFO for a company, I don't know, maybe they don't have that instinct to start getting into it, but like, man, anybody can play offense and defense if they want to, if they really like want to get into it. And that, if they're ambitious and they want to be a CEO someday, they should be doing that.
Yeah. Let's talk offense a little bit, because I think we were down there. We initially talked about, what we're calling this, the ones to watch, is the startup competition.
Yeah.
And they're down there, they're doing their demos. Maybe Grant could put some B-roll in there. But like I mentioned to a lot of times these like pre-revenue CPG companies that are out there trying to maybe like raise capital. And I say, and maybe good advice, not bad advice, but I ultimately tell them, go out and sell. Have you been able to like know if somebody actually wants that thing that you're making? And they're like, well, what do you mean? Like nobody's, I don't know. And I'm like, go to a farmer's market, go anywhere, and literally like try to do this like way down at the, 3rd and 5 at the end of the goal. Like you need to like push that through, and you're like at this like thing, you're selling 1-to-1 to somebody. And like, this is obviously different because they're selling to like really high level people that could make a ton of impact. There's probably a lot of pressure down there. But like, I appreciated how like people were super engaged. They're trying to like really move that football down and try to score, because they don't know, like that could be that one interaction that moves them to change their world.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, getting the first-hand experience, especially selling for anybody at a company, is really important. I would always want to send the marketing team, but also the ops and finance to a store, do a demo. First of all, everybody on a company's team will be pitching at some point, because you might be talking to a new ingredient supplier, but actually making them love your brand will help you get responses faster from them, get something overnighted when you need it. So like everybody on my team is always prepared to pitch the business, and get them to demos, because demo is the fastest way to rehearse your pitch and make sure you're going to do it 100 times in a day. So you're going to know how to talk about it by the end without even having to think about it. So I love everybody getting that kind of experience, but obviously for me, like I love demoing. Like
you still do?
You have to drag me out of the Erewhon demo. I'm like, no, like I just talked to that person for 15 minutes and they were very dubious at the beginning, but they're almost there. Like I'm gonna get them.
Man, I haven't done that in so long. Like that's where I started my career in CPG, was like I did demos and like talk about vitamin shops, GNCs, which I want to get your other comment around. We're similar thing you're doing with GNC, and I think maybe you're calling that the next big one. Is that what the?
Yeah.
I'm like trying to like, you're branding everything. I love it, and like I'm only remembering because like I'm picturing you in this like suit flexing.
I am pumped to tell you about the next big thing.
And I remember looking at it and I was like, wait a minute, this guy is like hitting it right on the head. I was like, I just love that he's like not trying to be too serious. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, perfect. Because everybody in that space, for whatever reason, they want to be all ultra serious. And I'm like, no, it's actually just as fun as anywhere else.
Yeah, so we have a program with GNC called Next Big Thing. We're working with them to identify the next big brand that's going to win a test distribution with them nationally. And it's fun. They're really interested in just meeting a lot of new brands out there that would have a chance on their shelves. And the biggest thing that they wanted to know from all of them in the submissions is like, why are we missing this? What is this going to add for our consumers, for our set? And so we got great submissions. We got people going into their stores, looking at the set, saying like, look, this is the hole that you have here. This is how my product can help you and attract more consumers and sell more. And so it's called Next Big Thing. And so because of that, there's a very funny video of me with my team, like, next big thing, I gotta get ready. And then I put on a muscle costume and a Startup CPG shirt, and I'm curling pasta sauces. And then I'm very embarrassingly in the gym in my building with people that I know kind of looking at me like, what do you do? What on earth could you possibly be doing right now, wearing a muscle costume, doing bench presses? But I think it's worth it, because what I want is for everybody in the early stage brand community to know about that so they can submit for it. And I don't know, are you more likely to know about that video if I did like a boring one of like, hello, we have a competition for brands, or if I do something that's just more fun and engaging, right?
Exactly.
So,
I mean, nobody's ever going to doubt how in it you are. Like, especially talking about being in where you live. It's one thing to just be like out in the middle of nowhere. You're like, nobody's going to care. Like, you literally have to see those people all the time. So they're like, man, what are you doing there, bud? Like,
I will do.
you're
Yeah,
like, I am into this.
I'm okay embarrassing myself for that kind of stuff, and I also secretly am very proud of it, and I also can't believe that I get to do this as my job. Look, so somebody actually gave me this present today. This shirt says CPG Oprah because what we try to do is help early brands as much as possible, and so I always suggest to people that want to work with us, let's give some stuff away. Let's give away booths to a trade show. Let's give away tickets to this event, and that's what I want. Is my dream is to be B2B CPG Oprah. Like, you get a booth and you get a booth. So yeah, Huxley came and brought me this shirt, which is great because I don't think I ever could have actually bought it for myself. But if someone gives it to me, then I can have it, which is great.
I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. If you did, consider hitting that like button to support me. Also help me get to my new short-term goal of 4,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to see you join me on this journey, but we need to fix the fact that I think slightly over 90% of you at this point watching this YouTube video are not subscribed to my channel, and that makes me extremely sad. But I do want to thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.